Hi guys, welcome to Olive's Tree. I'm Mandy and I'm one of the 12 branches on my mum Olive's Tree. Now, there's nothing I love more than a hot cross bun. I absolutely love them. And I've just done a classic recipe last week on the channel, but for those people who don't have a sweet tooth, I thought I would do a couple of savoury options. So today I've got some fresh basil from the garden, some cheese, some olives chopped up, and some garlic, and yeah, let's make a savoury version for those people who don't have a sweet tooth. Let's see what we've got down here. So on this board I've got a handful of basil, which I've just chopped it and it's turning dark. I know, tear it, but you need it chopped for this. And I got half a cup of olives with the little, pimentos, and then I chopped them up so it looks a bit more than half a cup. And then I've got 1 cup of grated tasty cheese. I've got an egg, and I normally would like to add in some roasted garlic into this recipe, but I don't have any. So I'm going to make it easy, and we're going to use a pantry staple and use some garlic granules. Now, I'm wearing gloves today because I have a couple of Band-Aids, so that's what's going on there. Nothing sinister, just hygiene. Now I'm going to be using my stand mixer because I couldn't possibly knead this dough. But you can definitely do it. You don't need a stand mixer, and you could use a food processor with your plastic blade. That's another option as well. So I'm just going to weigh up some flour, and I'm going to weigh about 500 grams, 520. Same recipe really as the sweet one. Won't have sugar, we'll have some savoury components. So, there's 520. So I'm just going to tip that in. So there's our flour. On top of that, we're going to add some yeast. And I'm going to put in just a teaspoon, just like that. And just turn that over so I can drop some salt in there without compromising my yeast. Now, I want to weigh the salt because there's nothing worse than something that's under-seasoned. And I think I want, I've got 6 grams there. I think that will be enough because, there's salt in the cheese, olives are salty, all that sort of stuff. So, we won't go overboard. Now I'm going to put in about a level teaspoon of garlic granules. As I said, roasted garlic. The bulb whole roasted is absolutely beautiful. And I need to also put in an egg, but I'll just crack that and make sure that it's okay. And it is. So in goes our egg. Now on top of that, we're going to add in a little bit of oil. And we're going to add in about, because there's oil in the olives, so I'm going to cut the oil down to about 40, 45, 50 mils. The more you put into your breads, the more enriched they are, the harder it is for them to rise. So just keep that in mind. So I've gone with about 48 grams, 50, no big deal. If it's out a little bit different. Okay, now on top of that, I'm going to put in a handful of chopped basil and a cup of grated tasty cheese, and I'm putting that in now because I want that to bake in. And as I said, half a cup of whole olives, and then I chop them up. Okay, so we've got those. Gosh, gloves are terrible. All right, let's get this onto the mixer, and we'll bring you over where you can see what's happening. Now into this we need to add some water, and I've got some here in a jug, and as I said, there's a lot of oil in the olives. There's also a lot of moisture, so I'm not going to add as much as I normally would. I'm just going to add in less than a cup, probably 3/4, and just sort of see how that starts to come together. Now you could add some Italian seasoning, some chopped salami, some rosemary, whatever you feel like, or odds and ends you have in your fridge that go along with a savoury theme, you could add them into your buns. So I think we need a little bit more. So I'm just going to just tip in, a couple of spoonfuls at a time and let that mix. I don't want it to be too wet. Okay, let's just stop it and just have a little check of how wet or dry. That's way too dry. That's looking much better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it up and I'm just going to let that mix for about 8 minutes or so. Okay, so I think this has been mixed enough. It's very soft. I'm going to just stop there. And it would have been nice to maybe put in some semi-dried tomatoes or sun-dried tomatoes, but I didn't have any. So you might have some though. You might want to pop some in. Maybe you could pop in some tomato. I don't know. I'd actually now said that I don't really know. But, do whatever you want to do. Okay, so let's have a look in here. It doesn't look very big because it's not bulked up with sultanas. I'm not going to scrape down the bowl. I'm not going to spray it. I'm just going to cover it with Glad wrap and I'm going to put it to rest in the oven with just the pilot light on I'm going to check it in 45 minutes. It could take 45. It could take an hour and a half. It's one of those things on the day you really need to just let it do its thing. So I'm going to pop that away and I'll come back when it's ready to divide into buns. Okay guys, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button and think about subscribing. It really does help the channel out. And if you have anything that you'd like to see on the channel, pop it in the comments and I'll do my best to get you covered with that. Okay, so my dough has taken an hour to get to what I think is about double. So you just have to play that by ear. Just put my other glove on and we'll divide this dough up. I'm going to weigh it only because I like the buns to be fairly even. They just cook and rise better, you know what I mean. Okay, it smells amazing. The garlic, the olives, the basil, it smells absolutely beautiful. Now, okay, when I make hot cross buns, I will have about 1,100 grams of dough. I have 975, so I have to decide whether I'm going to divide that into 12 or divide that into 10. But you can see it is such a beautiful, soft dough. It's absolutely beautiful. And, we all have different ways of doing things. This is just, I sort of knock the air out by doing this. It's, much proven and researched technique. Just joking. Okay, so I'm going to cut in half first. And I might even just make 8, I think, because they're not going to, I don't think they're going to rise. So what's that, 98? What did I say I had? 1,900 and something. So I'll just try and get them all sort of the same weight. So I could do, 99 grams and make 10 would work. That's 115. Too heavy? Oh, dear me. Some days I'm better at judging this than others. Okay, that one can stay, that's fine. 97. Bit heavy. And if you get one that's got a couple of pieces of olive in it, they're obviously going to be a bit heavier. So sometimes you just have to take a little bit off here and there until you get the right amount. A little bit off that one. Oh, too much. Okay. Oh, gosh, they smell good. They smell amazing. I actually can't wait for these to be ready to eat, to be honest. Okay. So what have we got? 3, 5, 7, 8. No, we've got to try and get 10, don't we? Let's see if we can get 10. What have we got there? 85, 104. So we'll... Whoops, hang on a minute. Perfect. So through what have we got? 3, 6, 9. We've got 10. So we'll move those out of the way. Now I've just got I have 2 of these pans, and I only ever cook cakes or hot cross buns or bread, but you know, focaccias and things in those pans. And I've had them for years and they are still like brand new. So if you do get yourself and they weren't expensive, I think they were about, they weren't expensive. I think they were probably, you know, maybe under $10 or something on sale at the supermarket. And so same thing as, you know, any sort of bun, we're just rolling them, get them into a nice ball. No flour, no oil, we don't need to add anything. And then we're just going to get some tension on the buns, just like that, and pop them into our tray. Now they do look quite small, but they will puff up. I mean, I could have broken this down into 12, but I think 10 will be enough. And we'll just go with 2 more. So just cup your hands, your fingers around, and the buns will just, you know, get themselves into a really nice tight ball, just like that. And you're just sort of pulling the dough back towards yourself a little bit and getting that tension, and that's going to really make all the difference when these rise up. It's really beautiful dough. Okay, so just get them in the pan. So we've got 6 in there. It's going to seem a bit weird having 10 instead of 12, but you know, that's okay. Okay, just pop them in. A little bit of dough sticking there. We'll just pick it up. Whoops. So these were really, really easy to make. And as I said, you don't need a stand mixer. I'm using it because I don't have the physical stamina on chemo to knead the dough long enough. I could do part of it, you know, and I will actually do a video at some point, and I will do them by hand so that, you know, you can see that it really is not necessary to have a stand mixer. I've only had one for a couple of years, and I've made cakes and things for people for decades, and yeah, I've only had one in the last couple of years. So okay, put a little bit of spray over the top, and I need to get a little bit of plastic, so bear with me for a sec. Alrighty, so I really need to get my cloth cover for this tray made. I keep talking about it and I keep forgetting. I really need to get it done so I can cut down on plastic. Okay, so I'm not going to put it on too tight. I just want it to cover. So you can see they're quite small. Now I'm going to put them back into the oven with the pilot light on, and I'm going to check them in, say, half an hour. And they might need up to 45 minutes. So remember, the first rise took an hour, and the second rise is usually a bit faster, but it's sort of a funny day here today. It could take a bit longer. So I'll bring you back and show you what they're like when, how big they are when they're ready and how long it actually took. And we'll put some crosses on. Okay, so these have had half an hour, and I think they need another, 10 or 15 minutes still. So I've got the oven heating up to 170, 180, no fan. The fan on my oven's not, functioning very well at the moment. They look perfect. So let's get this pesto cross on, and you'll see that this basil's oxidized a little bit and it's a bit more brown than green, but that's okay. Whoops, a little bit runny. I could have put a little bit more flour in there, but it'll be fine. They're going straight into the oven. And I just thought that a pesto, I had some in the fridge, so, I'd like to use what I've got. And I thought that would be, a nice way to finish them off. And we've got all of that tasty cheese inside the mix, the actual hot cross bun mix, or the bun mix. So that'll give a nice flavour as well. Just got a little bit of, whoops, look how wonky. Doesn't matter, does it? It is a little bit runny for this purpose, but I don't care. It's just going to be just fine. Okay. Now I'm going to put them in the oven, and I'm going to put them in for 16 minutes at 180 no fan. And then I'll do a temperature check with a probe just to see how they're going. Okay, so they've been in about 18 minutes. I know they're not really brown. My oven's just, struggling a little bit at the moment. But I'm just going to temperature check them to see what the internal temperature is. Let's go for one in the middle. Yeah, they're definitely cooked. So, 95, whatever, they're definitely cooked. I'm not going to worry about browning them anymore. I'm just going to turn them off. And I'm just going to sit them here on the hot plate to cool for a little bit. Once they're cool, we'll have a taste test and see what we think about them. Now, don't forget, if you like this video, please hit the like button, share with your friends, subscribe, drop a comment, all those things. Any ideas you've got about other content you'd like to see, just pop it in the comments, and I'll try and get that done. They are so delicious. Whoops, nearly dropped it. They would be so good with homemade soup, or just a nice wedge of cheese, or some, they just are so delicious. Just on their own, even with butter, they're so yum. Doesn't always have to be sweet. I will turn it over and have a little taste of the pesto. Well, there's a little bit of chili in those olives. So just try that. Oh, that works so well. I don't know why. I was doubting myself when I've done it before. A little bit of plain flour into some pesto that I had in the fridge, and it made it beautiful flavour, because normally the cross on your hot cross buns, it has no flavour, it's just flour and water. But that with just a little bit of pesto just gives it another dimension. And you know what? They're just absolutely beautiful. And I love them as much as I do the sweet ones. So, yum. Thanks for coming along. Oh, okay, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. I've enjoyed your company, and I hope you'll give this recipe a go. So if you're not into sweet things, you can certainly make some savoury hot cross buns. You don't need to miss out. And yeah, so take care. I hope the world's treating you all kindly, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.